And just like that, Walshy, we're back in the studio again, aren't we? Having done the commentary due to technical difficulties over at Villa Park. But what a pleasure it was to commentate on that, because Leicester have won on the road. They've stopped that Villa resurgence that has been so good since November under Unai Emery, and it was a thrilling, enthralling, captivating game which finished 4-2 in the favour of the away side. We'll give Walshy's voice a rest for a moment. We'll go straight to Jerry Taggart, who's probably sick of listening to both of us anyway, Jerry, during that 90 minutes. What a game, simply put, what a game.
Where do you want me to start, Dan? I mean, incredible game of football, you have to say. And credit to Villa. Villa will go in the dressing room. I don't think there's a lot Emery can say to his players. If you're going on goal scoring opportunities, then they've blitzed it. But when it matters most, Leicester just showed they had that clinical edge at the right end of the pitch. And I mean, it was just a superb watch, wasn't it? I mean, I was on the edge of my seat, after the start, I have to say. Thankfully, I didn't get used at half time. We can, as Walshy rightly said, brush over some of the deficiencies that there were at the back for both the goals, and probably Villa hitting the bar twice, probably could have had a couple more. But on the whole, you've got to say, you've brought 3 new players in, started them, stuck them in at the deep end, away from home to a team that in really good form, probably didn't expect to lose this game, and on occasion just sliced through them with some of the football. So an incredible result and an incredible game of football, Dan.
And it's quite hard to sum up just what has happened there, Walshy, really, particularly the first half, 3-2 at half-time. You don't see many games of Premier League football that go like that.
No, it was just end-to-end, wasn't it? And like we said, it was like a basketball match at times, and both teams, you could see there was errors with Tyrone Mings at the back, the keeper. There always is with Villa, and you see that if you can set them traps like we did, and it worked really well. I think that Kieran Dewsbury Hall for that when he closed. Was it Conser down?
Yeah.
It was a brilliant Kamara, sorry,
yeah.
And that was the key moment in that game. I thought that really turned,
because heads could have gone down, couldn't they?
They could have, and it was so uncomfortable to sit there and watch that first half of Leicester. There were so many, but don't forget, it's a new makeup of a team, makeshift of a team in a sense, with the new signings who you never know how they take to it. But I think they did really, really well. I really do, and they got stronger and stronger, and there's a lot to work on. And you've got to take your hat off and say that, look, Villa had so many corners and set pieces that were swung into that box, but they defended very, very stoutly, and you've got some presence. It feels like there's some presence in that back four now, and there's not been, if you will, and like I say, Christiansen, he's the far post header that was vital as well, and there was things to learn from both sides, and Souttar, Castagna could play more together if they will. Castagna was finding that difficult, that second half being isolated. So this is something they've got to work on. But overall, I like the work rate, the work ethic today. The commitment was fantastic. That touch of class that Tete's got as a creator as well, where he did things that I thought were Maddison type of passes, and that's clever players, and so he's got a good football brain as well as being a good winger. So it's promising. Now let's not go overboard on these and give them a chance. They need a run of games now to see really how good they are. Souttar as well, I think he needs more time. Well, not more time. I mean, he needs games now to show us what he's about, and whether these top teams can outsmart him, I don't know. But listen, the good signs. I'm quite happy with all the signings.
How proud, Jerry, will Brendan Rodgers be right now, do you think, in that dressing room?
Oh, I think the elation in there will be, culpable, you have to say. It's been a long time since Leicester have won a game in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. So long so that I can't remember the date.
3 months, Jerry.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So imagine that. Imagine that. Just imagine that. You're sat in the dressing room. Your first win under your belt in so many months. You've brought some new players. You've finally got what you've been looking for, and that's a transfer window to bring some players in. And straight away, you know, 2 out of the 3 of them have massive debuts, and I mean massive, in Christensen and Tete. Unbelievable debuts. The manager must be absolutely cocked out. And that's not taking anything away from Harry Suter. We said he would have a difficult day. He's come from the Championship, and he's coming up against, a player in Ollie Watkins who relies on his pace and his work rate. And he had a difficult afternoon, or a difficult start to the game, but eased his way in. But look, more importantly, looked solid early, positionally, and a few things like that where, and there's more room to come in. He'll stand out in different games than this.
Let's talk about him in fact first, Jerry. We'll talk about all 3 debutants in more detail, but starting with Suter, because you're speaking about him then. Yeah, difficult start. Okay, he got the own goal, didn't he? He was unfortunate with that. But as he grew into the game, as you said, you see what he meant by head on a stick. He was winning headers in there. He is head and shoulders above everyone else in that. And the amount of corners and free kicks and crosses that were whipped in, he and Wout Faes were immense at the back.
Yeah, I think, football gets overcomplicated at times because of the way the game is played in the modern day. But when you're 6'6", you have an obvious talent or an obvious advantage over other players on the pitch. So use it to the best of your ability. And then everything else that comes as a bonus. Now, he wouldn't be playing in the Premier League if he couldn't get the ball down and pass it. But he has that obvious advantage of his height. And today, you've seen why he uses it and why he's playing for a Premier League club. Now, I could go into other little aspects of his game that it will improve over time. It's a bit of a wake-up call, but he's playing against the players I've just said who relies on pace, hunger, in Ollie Watkins, and fitness levels. He won't come up against an Ollie Watkins every week, but there's definitely room for improvement. But you've got that leadership quality, as you said, with wanting to go and attack the ball. And what that does is give Wout Faes confidence. And you've seen it from Faes. He was everywhere. He was first to every ball. Every first contact, he was in winning it. And so that tells you straight away that, there's the makings of a good relationship here.
As you just look at the table on the right-hand side, it's just flicked off now, but Leicester up to 13th, Walsh, as you rightly said, which is promising stuff, but it's still obviously very tight at the bottom at the moment, just 3 points above the relegation zone, but crucially, that was a massive.
Yeah, I think going into the Tottenham game now, there's a real air of confidence that we're going to go and beat Tottenham. That's what I feel. And that's what they will be feeling that in the dressing room, and they can play against anyone. There are too many goals that go in too easy, and you wonder how they go in, because the setup seemed okay, and that Suter, he was unlucky with that deflection, that's gone in, but they were set up right, and sometimes you can't see things happen like that. But that we were lucky with that. Was it Coutinho when he scraped one in as well, and it was offside, wasn't it? So there's still a sloppiness about it, but it was encouraging in a way, and because there was a hell of a lot of defending throughout that game that they had to do, and they dealt with it very, very well. As much as we're all pleased, we've got to brush ourselves down and go into the next game, but the confidence and the morale must be great, and you've got a series of games, and you look at the league table, it's a bit of breathing space, but the next games they come up so quick, and you see the new signings coming in, they've settled in, and Suter, I think he found the intensity quite of the Premier League a little bit different, which is understandable. There were times when I noticed he was just delaying things on the ball, gets caught out slightly, but nothing bizarrely wrong with that. But he'll quicken up. to this league, and he's going to take more games for that. But no, it was good.
We've spoken about Harry Souttar. Let's speak about another of the debutants, Victor Christiansen. He was so good, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think from start for his effort and energy that he put into that game was unbelievable. God, he was bombing up every time. And don't forget that first 10-15 minutes, that all Villa played was down that side, and he was a little bit isolated, 1v1, but he dealt with it. Got caught out once or twice with luckily, but in the end, Bailey more or less gave up, you know, and he just had him in his pocket. For me, he just had him. You could see every time that he was in position, and when he had to defend, he defended. You know, he goes on so many runs that, you know, he's got to be careful with that. But it was a terrific performance for him. I couldn't believe how powerful and strong and how he settled in. And you know, like I say, for me there was two people in for the man of the match, Christiansen and Tete. But Tete just scraped it, I think, with that goal, and the way that he showed us the skill and the direct attacking instinct that he had, the clever runs that he made, and the goal. You know, he likes to get in behind, and he came down the blind side and across, and what a run to get in, what a finish. And but there was a couple of other things that he did in that game that were Maddison type of passes I thought was brilliant. That means we've got someone else who can actually probably create. So yeah, a very, very good right winger.
Yeah, Jerry, what did you make of the Brazilian in that game? You saw at the end the amount of Brazil flags in that away end was absolutely fantastic.
Took him a bit of a while to get into the game or get into his rhythm. You could see, like early on, when his first time he received the ball, he went sprinting down the right hand side. But then you see that more creative style later on in the first half, and then obviously with a goal. I mean, the goal itself is just a touch of genius from a 22-year-old. The way he makes sure he's in the right position, coming in off the line and making that blindside run from behind the defender, where the defender can't see him. I mean, that is a talent in itself, but being able to understand the positioning where you are on the pitch and making sure that you're up with play, you're supporting your striker. So, and then obviously the finish itself, his first touch is just sublime to get him away from the keeper and they just knock it into the net. So yeah, I mean, absolute top drawer. And you know, as I say, there'll be lots more to come from him. I have no doubt. Lots more to come from him. Even though we've seen loads today, I think you've got a guy here who can take control of the game, similar to Maddison, and you know, play the game at his pace. He's got that ability to slow things down and quicken it up when he needs to.
Yeah, just the way he took the goal was so impressive, wasn't it? As you said, just having the composure to go around the goalkeeper was fantastic. And clearly he's very, very left-footed, isn't he? But he trusts that, and he got around the keeper brilliantly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was the finish of an experienced marksman. Let's put it like that. The run, the timing of the run, receiving the ball, and that cushioned first touch. So it gets out of your feet, but it's not 6-7 yards out of your feet. It's just enough to take it past the keeper, the advances of the keeper, which is a very, very difficult skill to master when you're 22 running at pace through against, you know, a World Cup winning keeper who, you know, seemingly knows what he's doing. So, I mean, absolutely top drawer. And it just shows you that...
Yeah, Jerry, no fear. And when you join a new club and you go into your first debut game and you are a bit worried about, you know, it's not a nice feeling when you're in a strange dressing room and you're not settled, but to hit the ground running like that and put that performance on was absolutely stunning for me.
Yeah.
I know. Listen, I say he's got all the attributes. You talked about his reverse passing he tried to pull off. So he's a clever footballer. He's got pace. He's got a bit of guile. The sky's the limit for this kid. You know, it's simple as that. Well, obviously, there's different barriers to cross in regards to different types of teams that he's going to come up against in the Premier League. But certainly you've got a player who's got an all-round game that can cause major issues for other teams in the Premier League with his movement, his technique, the quality of his technique, and his vision as well. So he's got an all-round forwards game, Dan, and he showed with that finish. And obviously he had a couple of other runs where he came inside, tried bending him in the far corner. He had a pile driver with one, so he's not afraid to have a shot either. And you can see why he gets his goals, why he's got a good goal scoring record.
Let's talk about the goals then. The first one was for James Maddison, of course. He did really well. But it was all about Kane and Dewsbury Hall, wasn't it? Winning the ball back off Martinez, who played it into Kamara. Dewsbury Hall won it back brilliantly, didn't he? Played it to Iheanacho. Everyone thought he was going to shoot. Instead, he played it to Maddison.
It was almost like you were willing him to shoot before that, and it just went on forever. And you're just thinking, shoot, shoot, shoot. And clever players don't panic in them positions. And Maddison just turned it back across people who were coming across. And again, it was very important at the time, that we got back in that game. And so it was terrific. And then we kind of give away possession after that, which was worrying. It was, like I say, it was end to end, but that was a very important stage of the game, and obviously Madders, we know what he can do. But like you said, before that, the build up to it, the effort to close people down, set that trap, and it worked so well.
Yeah, the second goal, Jerry, was one of 2 assists for Harvey Barnes as well. Good play from Christensen, but a terrific ball in from Barnes, wasn't it, for Iheanacho?
Oh.
And he doesn't miss chances like that.
Centre forward's dream, you have to say, that ball from Barnes. I mean, pace, the height was perfect on it. So all he has to do is let it hit his forehead, and he doesn't have to generate any power with his header. It's just a bit of direction and making sure he hits it bang straight in the middle of his forehead. But yeah, absolutely top drawer ball from Harvey Barnes. The find Iheanacho, and it was quick play as well, Dan. It was a one touch, bang, get it in the box. I can see him, and that was probably the most pleasing bit, where there wasn't too many touches taken to try and find a bit of space or to take a full back on. Just one touch to control it, and 2 to deliver it into the box. And as you say, Iheanacho, in a rich vein of form again, makes no mistake.
No, he was always scoring, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was always going to score. But it was a terrific guided cross. Barnes, you see him just look up, and he sensed where Iheanacho and where the space was to put that ball. And it was a guided finish, and he was always going to put that in. But you've got to be there and be in the right position. That's why I was saying earlier on in the game and the commentary that it was out of position a lot, and he's got to stay in that position and around that goal, and that's where you get your goals, and that's what he did then. And don't be drifting out too far wide. You've got to do it sometimes. You've got to chase channels, and you've got to do that. But I want to see him more as a centre forward now, and he's got the ability to score goals, as you see. But he still tends to drift deep. He'll go into false positions, really, and people have got to look at that and say to him, "Look, you stay up. I'll do that job. That's my job." And it'll work better for him. But hang on, he's scored again. A guy can score goals. I'm not having a go at him. I'm just saying that I'd like to see him, because I think he'd score more goals. Yeah. So I'm happy with his performance overall. His work rate sometimes is a little bit below, and just needless fouls that he gave away. It sounds like I'm being criticising, but I'm not. I'm being structural here, and how maybe this is the reason why he's not being in the team, because of these things. If he gets that in his game, then he can go on and he can score a lot more goals. He's got that knack to, he knows where the net is. So we've got to work on that.
Fair play to Brendan Rodgers. His substitutions today were spot on, weren't they? One of them, Dennis
Praet. Tactically, it was better than Emery in his way, in his management. Yeah, I thought Rodgers played a very good part in how we forced that win.
Yeah. Dennis Praet obviously getting the goal, Jerry, as a substitute.
Yeah, I thought the assist would have gone to Moreno, the defender, actually. Not the Harvey, but I mean he's made a complete hash of it. He should never have got the Dennis Praet. But Dennis Praet, for me, I I mean, I like him. I like Dennis Praet. You know what you're going to get from Dennis Praet. And every now and again, he pops up, loves a forward run. And again, he showed that composure and calmness with a keeper coming at him. Nice little touch to the side and a really composed finish, just slotting it inside the near post there. But yeah, I mean, it was another good. I tell you what, Harvey Barnes did brilliantly was, number one, he held the ball up. Leicester could not get a hold of the ball up top in the second half. And I'm not saying it was the first time, but it was one of the only few times that I can remember that Leicester held the ball up, and it was Harvey that did that. And once he got control of the ball, he shifts himself inside and plays a lovely little dink ball over the top. And it just shows you that if you can get a hold of that first ball that comes out and take a bit of pressure off your back line, especially when the opposition are pressing forward and trying to get the equaliser, if you can just do that a few times in the second half, then one of those opportunities will present itself. And it did. As I said, Moreno makes a complete hash of the clearance, but Dennis Praet makes no mistake with the finish.
Yeah, and he sort of did what Tete did, really, Jerry. Just calmly took it round the goalkeeper.
Yeah, calmly, and I like Dennis Praet. I've seen him play in that position, in that forward position in the past for Leicester, and he's done really well. And I say, you always know what you're going to get from him. Invariably.
He's always there when you need him, isn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dependable.
Defensively, he's strong. He gets back in good positions. He's reliable on the ball, and he's got that little bit of attacking flair. Not with the ball at his feet, but I mean with the runs he makes off the ball. He's very savvy, very clever with the way he makes his runs.
Right, we're coming towards the end of Matchday Live here. We've got plenty more, though, to come. A fantastic victory. We could talk for hours about it, and that is exactly what we'll do with extra time on Monday evening. So do tune in for that. We'll talk about all of the business that was done in January, and of course, we'll spend at least half an hour, 40 minutes or so, talking about that thrilling game that we've just seen at Villa Park. Then in a week's time, it's Tottenham who come to King Power Stadium. Leicester will be hoping to exact revenge for what happened last season. And you can listen to Jerry Taggart and Matt Elliott in conversation with Steve Guppy on the latest episode of Leicester's Place, which is a podcast available on Spotify, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. And also you can watch that one on YouTube as well if you want to see Jerry in the flesh again. Which nobody wants to do that anyway. Thank you very much to Jerry, who's been on Zoom. Enjoy your evening tonight, Jerry. You got to work from home, so you can go out tonight and celebrate that Leicester victory. Walsher, you'll be going out and celebrating that Leicester win as well. Thank you to everybody who has joined, who has watched, who has listened to us today. We hope you've enjoyed it. Leicester City's first Premier League victory of 2023, and boy, did they do it in style away at Villa.